I was just raised differently. I was raised to respect our government. I was raised to be able to speak to people of different political parties. And maybe I don't always agree with them, but their insights help me shape my opinions. And I just don't see that happening. And that's what I grew up in. That's the America that I grew up in. And for us to now feel like the Department of Justice, which is in charge of seeking justice for all Americans who are victims of crime, they've just completely let us down.
You know, I thought William Barr was a bad attorney general until this chick came along. You know, when he was first in office,
Yep.
I honestly
Barr.
thought that Bill Barr was the worst attorney general
He
ever.
was. I did not care for him.
But man, I'm telling you, this chick, Bondi, she done took the cake.
She ain't right.
Wow.
She's emotionalist. She's detached from reality.
That's crazy. Doodlebird says Diane Ramos said they built a huge building about 20 minutes from her just for ICE to hold people in.
Oh,
She
wow.
said, yep, she says it's about 4 football fields long. They're doing the equivalent to the concentration camps in World War II.
Right. Exactly. That's what's going on. That's what's going on.
A lot of people weren't around during that time that are here today. They don't know what those Japanese people went through.
They
Being
went through hell.
shuttled off to concentration camps, and this is no different. They're going to treat
No
those
different.
places just like the concentration camps of the past.
Exactly.
And so to hear her say, if you have been a victim of crime, we want you to call the FBI. I called the FBI. I called the FBI, and in the release of files, my intake report was released twice. Once with part of my address, and once where my name was unredacted several times, including in a sentence that said, Stein was a victim of Epstein and Maxwell in the mid-90s. So, I find it really difficult to have any faith when we are constantly, being manipulated and downplayed by our government. We've heard several times our government say, we're moving on from this, and that just enrages me.
Ooh.
Yes. So Bruce is on the loose. How appropriate. Bruce is on the loose.
Bruce
Says
is on the loose.
Don't break the law. Simple. So are you also saying that these ladies broke the law? Or are you just talking about ICE? Because we're really not talking about ICE, but if you want to chime in about this, you can. But even then, this administration is breaking the law.
Yes.
Now, I could take that as a blanket statement. Don't break the law. Simple. Well, what do you say about your president? Sleeping with little girls. Hugging up to PDF files. Covering up.
It's true.
Don't break the law, though. Just don't break the law. Sometimes it's best not to say nothing than to say something stupid.
Right.
I'm just going to let that go right there.
You're right.
This has been 3 decades of my life. We'd all love to move on with this, but how do you move on if you don't have justice? And the Department of Justice's job is to seek justice. And they, for some reason, don't feel like they have to. And that's just incomprehensible.
You and I have talked before. I see a lot of emotion in your face.
Yeah.
This is all coming back up again for you.
This is devastating.
Survivors of sexual assault, we are chastised so frequently. Why didn't you tell? Why didn't you fight back? All of these questions. And here we're seeing survivors have been telling and they have been speaking out.
Exactly.
Starting 3 decades ago, when Maria Farmer first reported this crime to the FBI. And over and over and over and over again, different branches of our Justice Department and, law enforcement that should have protected us
Didn't.
haven't. It's like
No matter how much they scream and holler, nobody hears them. And then they want to look at them as though they did something wrong. These were young girls. How do you run from an island? What, you supposed to just jump in the water and swim home? It's funny how people have all these solutions, but they don't offer any solutions. They just say stupid shit with no solution to back it up. These women have been calling and calling and calling and calling the FBI, and it's fallen on deaf ears. This heifer had the audacity to say they can call and spewed out the phone number. How many times, I wonder, did these women call that same number she spewed out yesterday? I wonder. It's almost like calling the phone company. My phone's not working. My phone's not working. Oh, we'll fix it. And after a while, the phone company won't even answer your phone call. And then a few minutes later, your phone won't work at all. Okay, lady.
this massive institutional failure that we don't want to address. Yeah. And it's not just us anymore. It's not just about the Epstein case. It's about survivors everywhere. They're watching us, victims of crime everywhere. This is something that people already don't talk about, and that's why it persists. And so now we're going to expect victims who are watching us be treated this way. We're going to expect them to talk about what's happened to them. That's hard ask. Yeah. But we have a chance to change the conversation and to change the narrative and say, you know what, these things happen because we don't talk about them. And that's why we need to, no matter how hard it is, we need to sit with how uncomfortable this is as a nation.
Absolutely.
Because it's the only way to get past it.
Yes. Maria, did you feel that discomfort in the room today?
You know, I got to be honest with you. It was definitely a lot of discomfort, but I think we were, you know, I don't know if I should say like I was a little embarrassed to see that she couldn't say sorry to us, because she sat there in the beginning, she said sorry for what Jeffrey Epstein did to us, but yet she couldn't apologize what she did to us, what her department did to us, right? It's like you had one job, was to redact our names, to respect our privacy, but yet you carefully took the time to redact all these powerful rich men.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's like, is it your department that can't keep up with, you know, are you guys being sloppy? You know,
it's not sloppy. They're not being sloppy, not by a long shot. That was intentional.
Yes, sloppy.
That was intentional.
Yeah.
See, these are, in the eyes of the administration, they're disposable. They're nobody.
Right. That's how they're treating them.
They're treating them like garbage. You don't have billions of dollars. You have no power. So you're nobody. Right. The sad part about it is as much as you gain, you can lose it in a blink of an eye. And that's where a lot of these powerful people don't realize. Just as easy as you gained it, you can lose it.
Exactly, Auntie Mickey.
Unbelievable.
Judy Bird, send me an email and I'll get it to Auntie Mickey.
Oh yeah, Doodle Bird. Yeah, I can get it from her. Thank you.
it's what we wonder every day. Where did it go wrong? And then I think we all realize now, oh, you guys really wanted to silence us. And you thought that you could scare us by putting our names out there. And to be honest with you, we've been through worse. This is nothing for us. If anything, this encourages us to speak more and not to be silenced. So we like to set the record here. If there are more files to be released, which we hope that these files that are released, they need to be, the men that are, the perpetrators that we did know about and that are out there now, they need to be investigated. And we cannot fail to do that as as the United States of America. We have other countries that are taking action in this, and we are doing absolutely nothing, and it is infuriating.
I want to come back to this. Oh, go ahead, Danny.
I do want to say something she did not say much today. I mean, she really evaded every question. She knew how to evade and was just using statistics. I mean, any game that she could play, she was playing. But the one thing that she did say is that there are investigations.
Well, so that's what I want to get into, because some of these prominent individuals, the ones that have been out there, officials have not publicly accused them of wrongdoing related to Epstein, but the Attorney General did say today when pressed about the potential for new prosecutions, she says there are pending investigations.
Who, what, where, why, what?
I believe so, Debbie. This goes as far back as Bush, to be truthful.
We don't have any information, and I would think that they would come to us to get that information.
Yeah, we still haven't talked yet. We haven't even.
Nobody's talked to me.
Yeah, nobody's talked to any of us.
Show of hands, has anybody had any communication with the DOJ over the course of the last, let's say, 6 months? Do you want to have that communication?
Yes. We've all asked for it.
Does it mean we feel safe?
They don't want it. They don't want
Does it mean that we think she's going to listen? No.
They want these women to just go away, leave us alone, and get over it. That's the attitude. You've dealt with it for this long, let it go. That's the mentality of the DOJ. And it's sickening.
No, but we deserve the chance as citizens of this country.
She also said, she was talking about anybody can go to the FBI. Any survivor right now can go to the FBI. And then we saw 302s that are full pages of black that even our congressional leaders can't get access to. So we've gone to the FBI. We've done the legwork. We've done everything we know how to do. And then to gaslight the American people and stand up there and say, well, they need to come over. They need to come talk to us. It's like, I don't know what else we have to do. We're here at the hearing. Like, we are doing everything we possibly can. So
acting like they haven't done anything already. But the sad part about it is they've done all they can, and it's falling on deaf ears. It's falling on deaf ears. These women have been screaming from the mountaintops for the longest. It's falling on deaf ears, and has been for several administrations, not just the Trump administration. The Biden administration, the previous Trump administration, the Obama administration, and the Bush administration. This is a sin that's been in the making for a long time.
I agree with you. They all knew. They all knew what was going on.
It's all about protecting power.
2008, 2000.
That's what he would tell, but they've known about it before he was even caught.
Yep.
please tell us what else we need to do.
Yeah. Somebody who I imagine all of you are thinking about, and I'm sure nobody more than the two of you, is Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who has been in all of our conversations, many of our conversations, the person who you all have said brought together the people she called her survivor sisters. And I wonder, Skye and Amanda, how did you think of Virginia today? In that room, sitting there, I was watching both of you during some of these interactions with the Attorney General. Tell me what was going through your mind.
I was infuriated for her. How much more of a cost do survivors need to pay?
Now they're speaking about the young lady that unalived herself. who was a Epstein survivor. And I'm not just going to call her an Epstein survivor, but a survivor of all the dirty bastards that had their way with these young girls. She couldn't take any more, and she paid with her life. So they're here to represent her.
The one that committed
Yeah.
the unaliving?
Yes.
Okay.
Virginia paid the ultimate price for her trauma and the consistent failure of every single system she's been a part of, even in the one in Australia. She was failed over and over and over again. And she'd proven herself in court to be a truth teller. And when that congressman put up a picture of former Prince Andrew, and Pam Bondi refused to acknowledge, and that was the thing about it. Every time there was a question about Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, or perpetrators, the contempt you almost see rise in her body, her whole face. I mean, I purposefully turned my body that way and stared at her to see, like, will you turn around and in one moment acknowledge and look at us, okay? Because Virginia was trashed for her allegations. I mean, ripped apart for years. She was a lone
Prince
survivor.
Andrew.
And she
Did you
kept
hear her
pushing
say
and
that?
kept pushing.
Yes.
And in those files, Ghislaine Maxwell gave her her own vindication.
Prince Andrew's
We know
in
Virginia
trouble.
named over 40
yeah.
names in sealed depositions. And
That's how Prince Andrew lost his little title.
Oh yeah, and he is steady declining. They're not doing good over there. It's not business as usual.
I believe it. And that's happening worldwide, though. Not just over there, but in other countries. They're holding these rich people accountable in those countries. And the country that this shit happened in is the ones turning a blind eye.
Ooh. Yep.
It happened here.
It happened here.
In this country.
Right here.
One of the major participants in this crime is sitting in the White House right now.
Sitting in the White House, they're trying to protect him.
It's sickening. Other countries can hold their people accountable for something that happened in this country, and we are unable to make the perpetrators in this country held accountable for the same crap.
Right.
Exactly.
Crazy.
And open depositions, we know a minimum she has named, and yet we still refuse to see them acknowledge or investigate any of those people. And Virginia has proven herself in court over and over and over again. And to sit there again and have this contempt for the questions when the Congress people, I said in my speech today, we're not here for theatrics. And she's like, oh, the theater. And I'm like, yes, you're the main character in this.
You're the main character.
It's a circus act.
Yes.
Yeah. She was a comedian.
She did Bondi.
Yeah, everyone was laughing at her.
She's talking about Bondi.
Yes. She's like something about theatrics or something like that.
Yeah, all these
Turned
theatrics.
around and was insinuating them. How rude.
Bondi was saying something about the theatrics of Congress as they were speaking to her. But she's the one that's putting on all the theatrics.
Exactly.
Debbie says, abuse didn't just happen in the U.S., guys. Well, I'm sure it didn't. I'm just saying that these were Americans, is what I mean by that. I realized that it was over on that island. But don't forget, it happened in Mar-a-Lago, too. Everybody seems to connect everything to Epstein and Epstein Island, but there was some trafficking happening in Florida.
Yes. And it's coming out. You can't sweep this under the rug.
No. Judy Bird said Virginia named 40 men. 40 men.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot of billionaires.
And
Millionaires.
that's in the world. These people are running the world.
Yeah, they are.
Satan. Satan personified.
Wow.
It's all
Wow.
strategic deflection all day long.
One of the things that she said in response to some of these questions was, you know, and I'm paraphrasing here, but she said, why didn't you ask this of Merrick Garland, obviously the former Attorney General? She referenced other administrations past. How did you hear that?
Nobody's saying that the other administration handled it correctly. We're not standing here saying that this other administration, you know, could have taken other actions. We're saying, yes, they could have, but this is in your hands now. This is in your hands, and you have an opportunity to step forward and do the right thing. And, you know, it was just, God, just the continued, Danny, you put it perfectly, like the gaslighting. You know, anytime they would bring up anything relative to Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell, she would say, well, because in your district, you don't want to talk about this person. It's like, you have survivors right behind you.
You know what, Tracy? I'm sorry, Tracy said the right thing. Unfortunately, they're the lucky ones who, with the grace of God, made it out. Many young women and children were used, abused, and unalived and thrown in the ocean from Secret Hatch or buried at Zorro Ranch. Exactly, but they don't talk about that enough. They don't talk about the fact that at the Zorro Ranch, he filled those tunnels up with concrete.
Wow.
How many bodies are down there?
Ooh.
How many people have lost their lives for just being associated with a victim? This thing goes farther than just sex. Excuse my French, YouTube.
It is.
This goes beyond that. There's other crimes that are even worse if you really want the whole truth. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But they're never going to find everything out. They'll never find everything out. There's been so much that's been done.
Yeah.
They got old boy on tape talking shit, and a limo driver overheard it and wanted to put hands on him.
Wow.
I got to find that recording.
You know, she's like, any survivor can come forward and talk to us. Well, first, you don't really have an open door policy. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Right.
And I think the second part to it is that they already have Virginia named more than 40 names. They're in those files. Why aren't we just going back to those? There's more than enough evidence to present forward. And now she's contradicting herself, specifically to Todd Blanche, because he's saying there's no investigations that are going to be happening. And now she's saying there's investigations. So which one is it? Are you doing investigations or are you not? Like, we need real answers. And I hope that I hope the American people can continue to stand behind us. I hope that they can demand justice, because realistically, this justice needs to happen. But if we need to go the social route too, we should be putting these names up. What boards are they on? What companies do they own? Like, we shouldn't be supporting any of those, and we should go after our social justice and continue to pursue this justice as well.
One of the things the Attorney General also said was that at one point, when asked about the redactions and acknowledging the errors that were made, both over redacting and under redacting, she said that the Department of Justice did the best they could, given the time constraints of the Epstein Transparency Act. Do you believe they did the best they could?
No. No, that's laughable.
That was just another statement that said throughout the entire day. That was something that was said several times. I noticed by several different congressmen and women, because they want us and the American public to feel that because they were rushed, because they had these time constraints, that this is then the reason why the redactions were not properly made when they should have been.
what they fail to realize is that this is not 1978 anymore, or 83 or 4. We have technology. If you want a name redacted, all you got to do is plug that one name in, and that name will pull up everywhere. So don't come talking about your time
Right.
constraints. One name, they were able to identify Trump's name in those files. How many times?
300, 3,200.
More than that.
Oh, snap a doolittle.
Thousands of times.
Yeah.
Now, if they found his name in there thousands of times,
3,200.
how
Or
many
more than
more?
that. Yeah.
How many more? They
Yeah.
found that name. They redacted that name. They sure made it. They made it their business to redact that name.
Oh, yeah.
So they can't say anything about, oh, well, we were under time constraints. Not with all those people that you have working for you, all the resources you're spending to hire people to do these redactions and going through these
My God,
files and all that shit.
it wouldn't take them nothing but a day. It shouldn't take that long.
You can spend money on anything else. Hire some more people since you're under such time constraints.
Yeah, I'm making excuses.
That's all this is about excuses.
Mm-hmm.
Tariq Mason says, have you heard the tapes of Sasha Riley? He detailed everything he went through with Trump. Is that the driver, Tariq? The one that drove for Trump? I'm not sure if that was, I don't know the guy's name, but he overheard conversations between Trump and Epstein that made him want to get out of that vehicle and whoop his ass. I'm not sure if this is the same guy.
Guaranteed to be made, and then protected the predators and perpetrators, which should never have happened. So that was just yet again another example of them trying to deflect your responsibility and almost trying to transfer all that shame and accountability to the American public wanting to push the vote through, and even us survivors for wanting to see the Epstein Transparency Act signed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a form of victim blaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a victim list that was released. It's called Victim List.
Client list.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, and it had a list of victims.
It
and
was shown, I
one-
think, a couple of times. In the hearing.
One was redacted. That makes no sense. This is a list of victims. That's intentional.
One of the things I heard from several of you as the process of advocating for the Epstein Transparency Act was happening was that you felt like, given the bipartisan support from both sides of the aisle, that this was not a political issue.
Yeah.
And I wonder, sitting here today, after hearing what you heard from that hearing with the Attorney General, do you still think that? Do you still think this is not a political issue?
I think the GOP is scared. I think that there's some fear there because we have amazing meetings with congressional leaders. We are in meetings all the time asking for their support. And we've actually like some of the best meetings and really compassionate people. And then when it comes time
with
to
Republicans
show up,
and Democrats.
Republicans and Democrats, yes. But I want to speak to the Democrats just for, or to the Republicans just for a moment, because in those Republican meetings, we have these beautiful moments with them and then they're not showing up to stand with us. Like this morning, we had the press conference and Nancy Mace was the only Republican who showed up. And that was a real shame. We had a great meeting yesterday with the head of the Republican Women's Caucus, and she was incredible. And we had this beautiful conversation. And we really had hoped that she would invite more Republicans to stand with us because again, like, I don't know how many times, like, I'm sure we're all so tired of saying that it's not political for us, right? It is a human issue. We are human beings. We just want to stand together. We just need to make this about survivors as a whole. It's not about Epstein and Maxwell. It's about if you've ever had any sort of sexual assault or any sort of abuse, which 1 in 4 women, and we're not even talking about the men in this country, have experienced this. So it's a huge issue that's so much bigger than this. And all we're asking for is bipartisan support. We've seen people cross the aisle before. The Transparency Act was a beautiful display of that. There was this moment, and I'm sure you guys remember it, Marjorie Taylor Greene sitting with Melanie Stansbury, and they sat there together and watched those votes come in. And it was like, thank you. That is what we're talking about. Two powerful women coming together and just being here to support other women.
Nonpartisan. It shouldn't even be about Democratic, Republican, Independent.
No.
These are human beings.
This is humanity at its best.
Society has become so demonic.
Yeah.
And it's actually just deviant. That they're doing some real sick shit out there to people.
Yeah.
To children. To older people. We don't know what's happening to Savannah Guthrie's mother right now. We don't know. Because that's how sick society has become.
We don't know what's going on with her at all.
We don't know if she's alive or dead. Now, I know that's a different subject, but this is about society. What society is willing to digest.
Exactly.
And if you follow some nutcase with orange skin simply because you think he's the best thing since white bread,
Plus, I went into his house.
Huh?
Sorry.
Oh.
I thought you said something, but you were talking about something else. Sorry.
Yeah, they think that the Mr. Orange Man is the best thing since white bread.
Okay. Yes, they do.
That's a cult.
Yep.
That's not the Republican Party. That's a cult.
No.
MAGA is a cult.
Yeah.
Republicans are not a cult.
No.
MAGA is a cult.
It really is.
Follow somebody.
Society.
To blindly follow some incompetent shit who shits on himself. Can't conduct a conversation with anybody, but he's the best president ever. Abusing women, men, boys, girls, babies. That's demonic. And to close your eyes to it and to participate in it and turn your eyes like you don't see nothing. That's complicity. You are just as bad as they are.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So this is thank society for that.
Yes.
You can thank society for that.
That's crazy.
But everybody has a decision to make.
Yes, they do.
You don't have to run like sheep in the crowd. You can be an individual, stand on your own 2 feet and decide what is right and what is wrong.
Exactly.
And you don't excuse bad behavior because what you can profit off of. Yeah. Oh, my 401k plan is set, so I'm good. I don't care about anything else that happens in the world.
Yeah.
Your 401k can dry up at any moment.
Yes, it can.
And the next day, it could be your daughter or your son.
Yeah, it's.
This is a time for people to get off of their asses and stand for what's right.
Yeah. Stand on what's right.
Tariq Mason said MAGA is definitely a cult. They are blindly following him and making excuses for him, and he can't do no wrong. Definitely herd mentality. That's right. And that's a dangerous place to be in. That's a very dangerous place to be in.
And we're just not seeing that.
Let me talk about somebody who currently is in prison, and that is Ghislaine Maxwell. And some of what we heard today and some of what we've heard this week from Ghislaine Maxwell. You know, Teresa, I'm struck. I know you said recently that she was in what you described as a prison spa, essentially, a reference to her transfer to a lower security prison camp. The Attorney General referred questions on that to the Bureau of Prisons. And I wonder, as you sit here today, knowing that Ghislaine Maxwell is where she is, what would you say to the Attorney General, to her staff at the Bureau of Prisons, if you could tell them something about that?
Well, that's just a soundbite to say, yet again, another deflection to the Bureau of Prisons, that they had no hand in having her transferred from Florida to from a maximum security to Texas.
So to you, this is an accountability issue. Is that what you're saying?
For her to say, yes, for her to say she didn't know is inherently false. I'm sorry. They know what's happening. They knew it was happening ahead of time. They didn't find out like we found out through the media. They knew it was probably planned for whatever reason, whatever they thought they were going to get out of Ghislaine Maxwell, a known perjurer. I'm not sure, but they knew ahead of time and they sent her there. And it's one of, I think, the most abhorrent instances of this entire post-conviction of Maxwell case.
Yep. I call it the second sweetheart deal in this case. It's the second sweetheart deal because she is getting a little pat on the wrist and a puppy, right? And Attorney General Bondi would not answer the question, who signed off on this? Who is the person responsible? I have no idea.
Take a while.
Earlier this week on Capitol Hill, we saw Ghislaine Maxwell deposed virtually from prison, and she repeatedly invoked her Fifth Amendment right. Her lawyer said that she is, and I'm going to quote him here, that she is prepared to speak fully and honestly if President Donald Trump were to grant her clemency. Show of hands here. Do you think President Trump should grant her clemency in order for her to speak, as her lawyer says, fully and honestly to investigators? Would you like to see President Trump rule out the possibility of any clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell?
Yes.
Show of hands on that.
Rule it out.
Tell me about that.
She used that as a bargaining tool. She's staying silent to try to get something. Again, she's trying to manipulate the system and put out things that gaslight us, manipulate us. It's atrocious. This woman is worse than Jeffrey Epstein. We trusted her because she's a woman. So it was easier for her to bring us into his orbit.
It's just like them pimps back in the day. I'm gonna go back to old school. Them pimps that used to have them hookers out there walking the streets. There was always one hooker. They would call his main one, his main squeeze. She would be the one that would bring them in. She's worse. She's just as bad, if not worse, as the pimp himself. This is no different. Epstein was pimping them girls out, and Ghislaine, or whatever her damn name is, was bringing them in. She deserves nothing. She deserves absolutely nothing. Clemency, nothing. Put her back in the first prison she was in. Show us that you are down with serving justice. But no, they're showing us.
They took her out of one prison and put her in another, plushy one.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so nasty.
She's not supposed to be in this particular type of prison. They don't allow ex-offenders in this particular prison.
I felt like there's a blue collar, kind of. See, that is so wrong.
She needs to be where the rest of the rapists and other ex-offenders are.
Yeah, she does. She needs
Not
to
in
be
club
in
fed.
popularity in the popularity jail, the regular
And then she's
jail.
also in the orbit. So to give her clemency is atrocious. That makes no sense. And
None.
she's just trying to bargain her way out.
Self-serving.
Yeah.
Jess, go ahead. Liz, I'm sorry. I'm looking.
It's really concerning to me that we continue to try to give her a platform to come forward and talk about what happened when we have already seen her perjure herself in depositions, lie in her conversation with Todd Blanche, and yet, you know, there's this expectation that she's going to come forward and give all of the keys to what happened here. Why aren't they talking to the victims of the crimes, the people that experienced these crimes? Why are they not talking to us? We know what happened, and we're telling the truth. And it's really just infuriating to kind of have this constant back and forth with Maxwell. I think that we need to stop giving her a platform.
Ghislaine Maxwell is never going to say anything that holds any water. So we just need to let the air out.
She's self-serving.
Let her go.
She needs to go back where she belongs.
Exactly.
And what does it say about our justice system and our legal system that she even has an opportunity to even flirt with clemency or freedom? It is a stain globally, and it sets a standard. We are supposed to be setting the standard for justice and how we treat children and victims in our system. And should she be granted any more clemency and not put back where she belongs, it's a failure, and it is a stain on us. And everywhere in the world is looking at us to do the right thing here.
So what would your message be to the White House on this? Because to this
Put her
point,
back.
that is on the table. That is not a possibility. The possibility of pardon that the president could give, that has not been ruled out.
Yeah. Put her back where she belongs and close the door.
Yes.
And
Close
not
the
with a
door on
locket.
her.
Put her back
In maximum security.
That's
not-
right. If he pardons that woman, then he's basically telling on himself.
Yeah.
If he pardons that woman, gives her clemency, he is basically telling on himself. Because that's what she's holding over his head. I won't talk unless I won't talk if you let me go.
Right.
And if he lets her go, that means she got something to tell.
Yeah. I'm sure she does.
He can do, from what I understand, Cards, he can do whatever he want to do. As the president, he can pardon anybody. He has the sole discretion.
Yeah. That's right. Hi, Cards. Welcome.
And they go, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Cards said, I think the state can hold the charge, but it would be double jeopardy for Maxwell. And they can't do double jeopardy.
They can't.
Mm-mm.
They can't charge her for the same crime, right?
No. No. But now, are all of her charges state charges? I thought they were federal. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Well, there's always street justice. What can I say? Somebody will get her. Somebody will get her. Shoot. Send Shaniqua up in there. Or Big Bubba or somebody. And make sure, look.
Give her more time. Yeah, give her more time.
Take away the puppy.
And don't be surprised. You heard it first here. Just like Epstein, which I personally believe he's still alive. But in the event that he ain't, I certainly don't believe he killed himself.
I don't either. I really don't believe that.
Somebody unalive that man if he is in fact unalive.
Right. I agree. That's
so
a good way
say
of
it don't happen to her too. Since you want to play these games of clemency, I'm going to hold this over your head. This heifer's clearly not thinking things through. Because I would have to say at least 95% of the country believes that he did not unalive himself.
Right. Exactly.
And the cell phones.
One of the things that you reference, Amanda, and I'll ask you and Sky this too, the sort of international, the global spotlight that is on this. And we've seen, you look over in the UK, we've already seen multiple people in the British government resign, come under scrutiny for their relationships with Epstein. And I wonder what you make of the way that the landscape is here in the United States related to high profile people and their ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah. I want to, just real quick, I want to reverse back for a second on Ghislaine, because Ghislaine is part of this international sex trafficking ring. Something that Virginia said, and it always sticks with me, is that Epstein was Pinocchio and she was Geppetto. She was feeding him, basically, and she was an active participant. She was often worse than Jeffrey Epstein. And the reason I say that is to go, and I'll go back to the UK here, is that they are taking more action there than we are here in the United States.
Oh, yeah. They are.
To be quite honest with you, the king, I'd commend him. I truly do. I think it's very difficult. He's basically going up against his own brother.
Yeah.
I mean that to say that these people, if they were able to commit the most heinous crime out there, what else could they have committed? Why aren't we following the money? Why aren't we taking more action? We should be opening the investigations, and we should be subpoenaing their flight records. They should be subpoenaing their bank account records and start combing through those. And let's see what's there, because I think if you follow the money trail, you're going to find some other things that they were much capable of if they were capable of doing these.
That's what they're afraid of.
What are we doing as Americans? Because we need to take this a little bit more serious. Somebody has done this to a person who is no longer here with us, right? There is proof. And it only means what? He's going to wake up one day. And then I mean to this for all the perpetrators that have come out.
What do you mean?
And,
what does she mean by
and
that?
Like, Sky said, we need to follow the money. We need.
What you mean?
When she says someone's already taken someone.
Speaking about Virginia.
Right.
She took her own life.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
To get their bank accounts, we need to get their flight logs. Why? Because us and these other survivors that are Jane Does are not the only ones. There are many more out there that we do not know about. And I got to be honest with you, these perpetrators don't wake up one day and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to stop liking children. I'm going to stop being a rapist. It does not work like that.
No.
It does not work like that. It's the same way when we talk about Ghislaine. When she walks away 20 years from now, if she's still alive, what do we think she's going to do? Become a teacher?
Yeah.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe her and Pam Bondi will be partners.
Maybe.
It's like, guys, these people are not going to stop. We need to stop them. So I just wonder, will the DOJ or who will start the investigation? And like Sky said, we need to pull out these records and find out more.
And what happens when you hold them accountable? How do we stop them? Not just by making them do their job, but there has to be accountability. There's got to be some laws broken here. So what do? You put the Pam Bondis in jail.
You replace them. You start doing stuff like that, because.
But taking her job away from her, see, that will inevitably happen. She will not be the attorney general for the rest of her life. She's not going to retire as attorney general. She's going to retire as attorney general.
They never do they?
Okay. With the next administration, she will be replaced if she's still around.
Right.
But in the judicial system, how do we hold them accountable?
That's a good question.
Prosecution? Find out what kind of crime they were involved in this cover-up. This is a cover-up.
Yeah, it is.
That's a crime.
It's a crime. And they're sitting there like it's not, which is
At least
weird.
At least Nixon, when he was basically busted, he
Right.
had dignity to resign rather than go through impeachment. He resigned.
Right. He did.
And that's to save some kind of face.
Right. Exactly. But that ain't happening over here.
But now that's the president. That's on the president level, but I'm talking about the lower ones. Attorney General.
Yeah.
And anyone in the DOJ that took her orders.
Mm.
Even in the military, you have the right to not obey orders that are not legal.
Oh.
Even in the military, you have the right to disobey illegal orders. So how do you hold someone accountable that is willingly breaking the law? Just because they have a high up position, they don't have to serve no time? I say lock her ass up with Jazane. Let them compare notes. Can I borrow some of your blonde hair to put with my black hair? I'll give you some of my black hair to put on your blonde hair. Be girlies. Be girlfriends. Send her ass away. Send them both away. Jazane's already gone, but she need to go back to the first prison she was in.
Yes, she does. I agree with you 100%.
Right now, she's not being punished.
No, she's not. She's on vacay.
Wow. Let me see what Debbie said. Debbie said, is that Virginia's brother who didn't get involved in the cause until after her death and looked promising? That's a good point. That's a good point. But nevertheless, that doesn't excuse what happened to her.
Yeah, it doesn't. And he's here now.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, as we're getting close to the end of our time here together, about what's next. But before I do, I just want to go back as we talk about now former Prince Andrew. There was that now infamous photograph of Virginia that was decried as potentially doctored years ago, described by Ghislaine Maxwell herself as fake at one point. But now we've seen in this Epstein file release an email in which she appears to refer to this photograph as legitimate here. A photograph that I know, and we've talked about, tormented your family for some time.
What a day of vindication. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to say how much of a truth teller she's been, and the consistency in her story has never changed. And when you go through these files and you hear the testimony of Andrew, you hear the testimony of Ghislaine, the story is always changing. Oh, maybe it was a fake. Oh, I don't recall taking that photo or being there. And then Ghislaine verifies in the email, oh yes, I did in fact introduce her to Andrew. And so again, you're just seeing this same repetition, the lies, and the one person, and it always pulls me back to what she says, especially when it comes to Andrew, is he knows what happened, I know what happened, and only one of us is telling the truth here, and I know that's me. That is the kind of conviction that she powered through this with the truth and conviction in her story. Before we end this, I want to say, yesterday we got to announce Virginia's law. And it was a dream of hers to reform the statute of limitations. And we're here, we're seeing that. Less than a year of her passing. And I want to end that on a good note, because I think the American people need to see that with all this grief and all this pain, like, real change can happen. We have the power to do that. And so we're going to continuously fight, because Virginia deserves it. They deserve it. And every single survivor who has been silenced deserve it. So we can't wait to see Virginia's law pass.
Her dream was to eliminate the statute of limitations to affect real change on a global and a national level. I mean, this was to protect her survivor sisters. This is to protect future survivors and our next generation. We get to go home to our daughters and our children and say, hey, we're fighting the bad guys. We're doing it and eliminating this. In some states, the statute of limitations is as little as 3 years. It takes survivors, it takes victims into their 30s and 40s, and when they are moms and they finally get this power to come forward,
Some take a lifetime. Some never go through, no, get over it at all.
No, they live with it.
They live with it from that moment on. And some can't take it, so they unalive themselves.
That's true.
So bravely, like it takes a long time, and the statute of limitations needs to be completely eliminated to give survivors grace. In Virginia, that was her dream, and I truly hope that that can be, again, this isn't a political issue anymore. This is on a human level. I hope Republicans and Democrats and all alike, we will talk to you. We will come. Tell me the date, time, and I will be there. We can have a conversation about this and why it's so important. Come see us face to face. This is something that we can do to set a new standard moving forward, so we can teach our generation and the next generation. You know,
all of you have shown up. All of you have shown up again here today. And so as we close here, let me ask you this: sitting in that room, being at that hearing, with a show of hands, do you trust the Department of Justice to pursue justice now for you? None of you.
I think they're going to have to learn what that is first.
That's right.
Exactly.
So what do you want to see next?
Bring
Action.
these men to justice.
I want to just be like, women be believed. You use that word torment, and I think about Virginia, but I think about Maria Farmer, and that, you know, we have that 1996, the first.
They need more Republicans to stand up and stand for right.
Yes.
That's what they need. He needs more pressure from his party.
Yes.
Stand up against the bullshit.
What were they saying in it? Just asking general
They ain't
questions.
saying much of anything. I mean, there's Massey is the only one that's really standing 10 toes down.
Oh.
He's the only one that's really standing 10 toes down. The rest of them are just basically silent.
Wow.
Don't want to rock the boat, you know. Don't want to make the orange man upset any more than he already is with his ranting all night on
Twitter.
Truth Social.
Truth Social.
Making pictures of monkeys with the Obama's faces on it, stuff like that. Let's throw another distraction out there to distract everybody from the Epstein files. Let me throw them up there. Come on.
Nope, it comes right back to it.
And in the meantime, you standing up there in a press conference falling asleep. If you went to bed at night and stopped tweeting all damn night, you wouldn't be falling asleep. Good.
Go to bed.
Go to bed. Go to bed.
I like that.
First half of the report. I don't know that anybody's found the second half of that report yet. And so we owe it to the survivors who came before us. We owe it to the girls and young folks in this country of the future. Like, changing statute is a huge leap forward, but also believing women first and foremost, or just believing anybody who is telling you that abuse has occurred and giving people a safer space to come forward that is more trauma informed is so crucial here.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for being with us. Thank you for sharing your perspective on everything that has unfolded over on Capitol Hill. And I know that this will not be the last time that we talk.
So, we've heard from them. So now we have another survivor who interviewed with another content creator here on YouTube, the Midas Touch.
Uh-huh.
I really, really like this guy's content. And this guy goes in, I don't know how he does it. He's got so much energy. He's constantly posting, you know. Constantly. But he did an exclusive interview with one of the survivors that I want to share with you guys. Shout out to the Midas Touch with almost 6 million subscribers.
Oh.
Y'all check him out. If you get a chance, go check out his
Oh, I
his
like
page
him.
and subscribe to his channel. Let's put him over that mark. Put him up to 6 million.
I like him too.
Yeah. Very knowledgeable.
I think it is critical that at the Midas Touch Network, we continue to tell the stories of these survivors of Epstein, of this horrible child sex trafficking ring that continues to be covered up by the Trump regime, especially after we saw Attorney General Pam Bondi testify yesterday before the House Judiciary Committee. And it was one of the most, if not the most, disgraceful types of testimony I've ever seen or frankly could fathom. She was asked a lot of very serious questions, just on a partisan basis. We also saw Republican from Kentucky, Thomas Massey, ask Pam Bondi a number of very serious questions, and she would try to answer with, oh, well, you've got derangement syndrome, and you're a failed politician, and for real serious questions. Why were you outing the names of survivors when you had one job to protect the survivors? Why are you continuing to hide and shield and redact the name of co-conspirators and these powerful men who are in this sex trafficking ring? Why are you still withholding millions of documents? There were a group of survivors there. There were survivors watching across the country as well. And to see what Pam Bondi was doing, what I've just been hearing is it's just further re-traumatization.
It is.
And what she did there just made things even worse. Now, one of the survivors who you probably have seen watching the Midas Touch Network and clips that we've shown, because she's been very outspoken, front and center, a real leader in the survivor community, is somebody by the name of Haley Robson. Now, Haley Robson is someone who was sexually assaulted by Epstein from the years of 2002 to 2004 when she was in orbit. We'll talk about what went down. She is somebody who has reclaimed her power from this horrific sex trafficking ring as a survivor to speak out. Somebody who is experiencing this re-traumatization by this DOJ over and over again.
Yeah.
And we have her here today to share her story with her own words.
She was a kid too.
She was
those pictures of her, high school.
Yeah.
Supposedly doing high school things.
Yeah.
And then this happens. Turned her world upside down.
Turned it upside down.
Now, she was fortunate to a certain degree. She was only under him for 2 years. But that's 2 years too many.
Yeah.
Not just the clips, but to go through this entire ordeal and to shed light on what took place and also why it's just so nefarious what's taking place right now. Let's bring in Haley Robson. Haley, it's great to see you. I wish under better circumstances, of course. But this is your life now. And when Trump and Pam Bondi and Caroline Leavitt say, we just want to move on from this, that's not a luxury that you have to just move on from this. And so this part, the sexual assault, we're going to talk about how you got into his orbit, what happened there. I want to start this interview though by just getting your reaction, obviously, to what you saw with Pam Bondi, what you witnessed as you observed that hearing. You weren't there, you watched it on TV. What was your observation?
I mean, I was appalled. I felt like it was definitely her antagonizing a situation. I mean, everybody knows that Trump's name is mentioned in those files alongside with plenty of other elites and politicians and government officials. It's not a secret anymore. And honestly, this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to partake in going to Washington for this specific event. Part of it was because I knew this was going to be what she does. I just like I knew Ghislaine was going to plead the fifth. I knew that this was just going to be a whole show of chaos and deflection. And the entire time, anything that was asked about Jeffrey, Trump, anything that was even related to the files, it was just her being combative and uncooperative. And it was really disrespectful and hard to watch.
And her behavior there compounded on, as you mentioned, Ghislaine invoking her Fifth Amendment, even though she spoke with Todd Blanche, Trump's former criminal defense attorney. Now she claims, well, even though I've exhausted all of my appeals, but she pretends she didn't, I've got a habeas petition, as though people are stupid and don't realize that technically every prisoner has the right to file a habeas petition. But just because you're filing a frivolous habeas petition doesn't mean that that's an appeal. But you set that aside. You've experienced the DOJ leaking personal identifying information and concealing information.
Concealing information. This is the crazy part. They only show what they want people to see.
Right.
They give them little tidbits just to keep them hooked. Knowing good and well that you're hiding.
They love using Andrew too. They love using Andrew.
Oh yeah.
They love showing pictures of him.
Well, and other celebrities and stuff like that, but them celebrities are not the ones that are running the world.
Right.
Oh shit, here we go.
About the perpetrators and the co-conspirators while harming the survivor community. Before we go back in time, right now, just what's going through your mind? What's your perspective of just where we are right now, mid-February, based on everything that's happened?
I'm not really surprised. I mean, I knew that we were going to be met with resistance and retribution. I did not expect for naked photos of some of the underage girls like myself to go and be public. And I certainly didn't expect social security numbers and addresses and phone numbers to go public. I mean, I've been very, very vocal on wanting transparency. And for me, I was never protected in this investigation from the day that I cooperated. So I wasn't expecting to be redacted at this point, which I was totally vocal and fine with. But I'm hurting for my colleagues and my other survivor friends, because it's an act of war when you do this. This is what feels like retribution for going against the system and being vocal. And we're just being met with resistance and disrespect.
And I think people out there hear, oh, information about the survivors has been leaked. And that, I don't want to say it falls flat, because that's obviously serious, but I like to use very concrete specifics so people know it's not just identifiers. As you say, they're naked photos of underage girls. These are personal identifying information that relates to sexual assault. So can you, before we go back in time a little bit, what are you aware of, whether it's your own information or those of other survivors that you're aware of, in the specifics of what's been out there that's really been causing a lot of trauma?
Well, I just said it. It's the naked photos or, abuse photos. Really, let's call it what it is. It's the child abuse photos that were released and leaked, that was made public, that really caused a lot of heartbreak. And just everyone was so scared, because if you have no boundary to release a photo of a child naked, and you're the government, I mean, it's just, this is why we feel it's deliberate.
I agree. And ATPB9FX says the leaks were intentional. Disrespect. Yes, that I agree. Yeah. I totally agree, sweetheart.
That is so wrong.
To do something so malicious to a child. This is a child, a picture of a child. But now we throw people in prison for child porn.
Right.
What makes that any different?
This is worse.
Again, it was intentional. It was it was to embarrass them.
Yeah, it was.
But we throw PDF files in prison all the time for having nasty stuff on their computers.
They're covering up for them.
But not just covering up, they displayed pictures, nude pictures of these young girls.
Exploiting them.
It's
horrible. Just horrible.
They need to go to jail just for that.
Yep. Yes.
Dirty bastards.
So there were definitely photos that were leaked of underage children. Again, I know a couple of the survivor girls, you know, they were saying how they found their address and phone numbers that were released of, I think, like several girls, a handful actually, and IDs, identification cards, like, you know, those were released. And so when we talk about personal information, you know, you got to think of safety here. Releasing, you know, addresses and phone numbers and social security of victims and survivors of a heinous crime. You know, these girls, their safety is now jeopardized.
So you were in Epstein's orbit from 2002 to 2004. We're going to get into some difficult topics to talk about, but first, sexually assault.
Lady, that reminds me of Maggie. Doxing. No, really, what they did to those girls is similar to what Maggie did to you, except Maggie didn't post your social security number.
Right, exactly.
She didn't post your actual address or
Right.
things of that nature, but they posted publicly these girls' social security numbers, telephone numbers, you name it, and nude pictures of them. That's illegal.
That is so illegal. That is so illegal.
Apparently, Dell Plummer says she misses Jag. I'm trying not to acknowledge her. So maybe if you want to talk to her, I'm not acknowledging her.
Hello, Dale.
Assaulted at the age of 16.
Nice.
Do I have that correct? About the
I was raped at 15. He was 22. That's how I lost my virginity. And that was my first experience with a man in my entire life.
Exactly.
So that set the tone, I think, for the future. And that following year at 16, I was recruited, and that's when I met Jeffrey.
And I think that aspect of it is important. I used to, when I was a litigator and I represented survivors in cases like this, often my clients had a background where they were sexually assaulted by an adult, and that was in their background, which is often used against them in the litigation to try to launch attacks on their claims and the veracity of it. And, oh, this happened here and it happened. You expect us to, that's what I'd get a lot from the defense when I would be representing survivors. But what is known is that these predators out there, they are looking for people who had a background, oftentimes where they were victimized before. And so, you know, there are photos of you that we have, you know.
Dell, you weren't cut off, okay? Stop.
I think right around the age of when you met Epstein, and it's you playing football, it's you at high school in the West Palm Beach high school area, the Royal Palm Beach High. Talk to us about how, from the incident you talked about at the age of 15 with another person, you get into the orbit and you're dragged into this orbit of this monster, this predator who's out there specifically trying to target people with your background. High school, 15, 16, previously victimized by another, raped by another person. How did that happen?
They need to know, see, people need to know how they work. That Epstein was no different than anybody, any other predator. This is how they maneuver into your life.
Well, ironically, when I met Jeffrey, I was trying to escape the rape. When I met Jeffrey, I wanted to leave West Palm Beach. I wanted to get out. And so when I was recruited by Tony Figueroa and another classmate to go to Jeffrey Epstein's house, I thought I was walking into somebody that was going to be able to help me. And it's ironic looking back on it now in hindsight. When you're an adult, you find the little red flags that you just completely missed as a child.
And that's what they do. They prey on your weakness. They prey on your trauma. And this is, in the case of her, this is what Epstein did. She had already been raped by someone else. She was still a young girl. She was a young girl, and she was taken advantage of. And it was so traumatizing to her, she wanted to get out of town. She was in West Palm Beach. She wanted to get out of West Palm Beach. She was introduced to him as a means of helping her possibly get away. But he capitalized on her trauma and re-traumatized her.
But I met Jeffrey, and Tony Figueroa and I went to his house, and him and the other young girl told me that Jeffrey could help me, and he was looking for a massage for $200. And when I entered the side, kitchen door and went upstairs, his assistant brought me upstairs. It was not a massage. It turned into an hour of me being sexually abused by Jeffrey.
Wow.
And it was just the most insane experience. Looking back on it, I am so thankful I got out of there. While I was in the room with him, he, did things to me. He made me watch him do things to himself. I remember grabbing me so hard at 16 on my backside that it shoved me into the massage table, as if he was trying to pull me closer. And then he brought out some inappropriate sex toys. And that's kind of when I was like, what is this? I never experienced that before.
And that's what they do. They bombard you with things that you can't even conceive at that age. She had never experienced anything like that, sex toys and stuff like that. She had never been exposed to things of that nature. So of course she's traumatized. She's already traumatized because someone else did something to her. She went to this man. He was actually recommended to her. She didn't seek him out, but she was led by someone else to him as a means of escaping West Palm Beach. Just imagine that. You're trying to get away from the trauma. You're having to see the person that did this to you on a daily basis. So of course you're going to want to leave. You're going to want to run. That only makes sense. And then you've got Superman that flies and says, "Here, I can help you." Only to turn around and do just even more vile things to her. That'll screw with anybody's head.
And it was terrifying. No, I'm not doing this. I'm sorry. I'm not comfortable with that. And I wanted to leave so bad. And I just remembering thinking to myself, if I run for the door, is it locked? And if I scream, is this room soundproof? Because all of the adults are downstairs right now and I'm upstairs with him alone. And it was a shower and a steam room and a bathroom inside the master bedroom. And I was just terrified. And he made me watch him finish and was so disappointed. After he finished himself, he was so disappointed and he just looked up at me and he said, "Listen, you're going to bring me a friend to come over and massage me, or I'm going to sexually assault you. And at that point, I had already been raped. I was terrified. I had no idea what was going on at that point. I just wanted to get out. So I made a decision based off survival mode and agreed to bring a friend. And that's how it started. And I was in his orbit for 2 years. His assistant would call me every day. She would call me asking, Jeffrey wants you to come over with a friend.
It's just like, just constant harassment every day. Lisa Bruno says people that assist in recruiting these women should be behind bars too. Same with R. Kelly's camp, disgusting people. And that, you know what, Lisa, that came to mind with me as well. See, right now, only one serving time for what R. Kelly did is R. Kelly. But those that helped him were just as guilty. They should be locked up as well. Tawana says, do you know they were selling the girls and boys on Wayfair as a shelf or furniture? No, I didn't know that, sweetheart.
Wow.
But it doesn't surprise me one bit. It doesn't surprise me one bit.
And no matter how hard I tried to ignore the calls and the text messages, it was consistently every day. And it took me 2 years. And when I turned 18, I did not feel good. I didn't want to deal with him anymore. And I was scared to leave. I didn't know what to do. And I just kept thinking to myself, this might be my opportunity to move out of West Palm Beach and get away from not just my rapist, but now Jeffrey. And so I did. Shortly after I left Jeffrey, I moved to Orlando. And when
this part coming up, trigger warning, y'all. Just
trigger.
This is terrible. This shocked even me.
I left Jeffrey, and this is something that I am, and one of the reasons why I have been vocal on the Transparency Act is when I left Jeffrey Epstein, he called my house and spoke to my dad. And unfortunately, my dad passed away from glioblastoma December. So I couldn't even have a conversation with him at that time about Jeffrey calling the house, because my dad at that point had already lost his memory and was struggling with his motor skills. When I left Jeffrey and moved to Orlando, I started stripping. I started dancing, and it was...
She thought she was free, y'all.
Wow.
She got out of West Palm Beach. She got out of West Palm Beach. She thought she got away.
Wow.
She started stripping. Because that's all she really knew at the moment. But I'll just let this play.
Was, a way for me to get control back over my life and for me to just be free. And I started dancing up in Orlando, and I met someone. And I ended up dating this person and falling in love with them. And he was murdered.
Wow.
Let that sink in.
Wow.
The man she met in Orlando and fell in love with out of the blue was unalived. Now y'all can figure out the rest. Staffel says the British historian Andrew Lowney says that he's received info suggesting that women died during torture sex. Lowney has also received tips that Epstein and his circle were performing satanic rituals. I've heard the same thing.
I have too.
I've heard the same exact thing, Straffel.
I played him today on my channel.
Especially, there was one story in particular that they attached to Robin Leach, where someone actually testified that they witnessed him strangle a young girl to death.
Wow.
I've heard a separate story that 2 girls were unalived that same way. Torture. And they buried the bodies right there at the ranch. The same ranch where he filled the tunnels up with cement. This is crazy. This is deeper than just doing freaky stuff.
I'm so sorry. And around what time did that take place?
2006, June 22nd, 2006. It was a Thursday. And I never really thought that Jeffrey could do something like that, or that it would be retribution for me leaving. And I knew, I had a feeling that there was going to be some point in my life where I was going to have to, that something was going to come back.
And you hear how she implicated him being connected. Did you hear how she implicated him as being connected to that?
Really?
Yes. Let me go back just a tad bit.
Yeah.
She'll say it again.
I'm so sorry. And around what time did that take place?
2006, June 22nd, 2006. It was a Thursday.
She remembered.
And I never really thought that Jeffrey could do something like that, or that it would be retribution for me leaving. And I knew, I had a feeling that there was going to be some point in my life where I was going to have to, that something was going to come back. Either he was going to come back or somehow he was going to find me. But I never, ever in my entire life thought that that would be something I would make a connection with.
You understand why she's so traumatized? She feels that Epstein allegedly was involved with the unaliving of the man she fell in love with.
Yeah.
As a way to get back at her for leaving.
That is something.
That's some diabolical shit right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, Lisa. She knew somewhere down the line she was going to pay for leaving, but never expected him to have her boyfriend unalived.
Because I bet you they don't know nothing.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
But as I'm seeing all these files release and the malevolence and evil that's in it, beyond just the sexual abuse, I can't help but to beg the question of, am I overthinking everything? Is that a crazy thought to have with everything that's in the files? And it kind of brings in that conspiracy theory that I've tried to not connect. And so simultaneously, the same week that my boyfriend was murdered is the same week that everything hit the media with Jeffrey. And so I lost my boyfriend. Everything hit the media. And then I was dragged through the mud. I was not protected by the police department, even though I was with Jeffrey at 16. All of my personal information was leaked to the police department and the press.
They should be held accountable as well.
Yeah.
Not just the DOJ has victimized these women. Not only has Epstein and allegedly the
System
orange
has victimized
fucker. But the police that were supposed to be there to help her,
Protect
instead,
him.
they victimized her. Everybody victimized them.
Yep.
They should be held accountable as well.
Mm-hmm.
Going all the way back, there's probably a statute of limitations, but still,
Yeah.
they need their come-ups too. Dirty bastards.
I had to go through 17 years worth of a smear campaign, like a horrific smear campaign by Jeffrey's attorneys, by Jeffrey himself, and now come to find out TMZ in the files was paid $10,000 a month to run smear campaigns on survivors.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, what is going on with TMZ?
Did you not hear that? Now listen, you know Harvey, what's his face?
Yeah.
The head of TMZ is also in the Epstein files.
Exactly. Yes.
She just said that TMZ was being paid $10,000 a month to smear these women.
Right.
Do we not understand what a connection is?
Oh. Yeah, he probably did that as a favor to someone.
Absolutely. Well, he's in the files. He's mentioned in the files as a good friend.
Yep. And you know, they were like wanting him to come out.
Yeah, his name literally came up as a good friend. I have a good friend, TMZ, Harvey, blah, 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 blah. But to cut a deal with TMZ to smear these women on a monthly basis, $10,000 a month. I wanted y'all to hear that. I might just play that again.
Wow.
And the press. I had to go through 17 years worth of a smear campaign, like a horrific smear campaign by Jeffrey's attorneys, by Jeffrey himself, and now come to find out TMZ in the files was paid $10,000 a month to run smear campaigns on survivors. And I had to go through all of this at one time in my life. It happened within days of each other. And I don't know how I survived. I don't know how I was able to keep a level head and keep a job and you know, be a mom, but it's been horrific leading all the way up till today. And what the DOJ is dragging us through and what our government is re-traumatizing us for. It's literally being sexually assaulted all over again.
Exactly.
Did they ever find who was the murderer of your boyfriend at that time, or has that always remained a cold case, if you will?
It's a cold case.
Cold case.
And after that took place, you referenced the first time Epstein was arrested, and that was arising out of information that was obtained. I think it started off as a fight in a high school between girls who were talking to each other or fighting with each other and saying, you're a prostitute and you're a prostitute. And then the school overheard it, and they found that one of the girls had $300. And that started the beginning of looking into it, but then it was kind of covered up by local police. Then there was some, I think, important reporting that was taking place. And so that the first time around when you're being smeared, that's in 2006, 2007, or right around that period, because your name, talk to us about that period. And then let's fast forward to the more recent arrest before he died in August of 2019.
So one of the girls that went with me to Jeffrey's house, she allegedly got into a fight at in high school. She got into a fist fight, I suppose, and her mother was called down to the office, and there was a whole argument and there was a whole discrepancy about where the money came from. And I think she finally honestly told her mom what that I had brought her to Jeffrey's. And so that was the starting. Her stepmother was allegedly the one that called the police. And so that's where the investigation started. And that's where I was brought in for questioning, which is wild because if you see the video of the police questioning me, and there's also videos of the police questioning the other girls, the other victims, you can clearly hear that we tell them, well, we were sexually abused, or this is what happened, or with Jeffrey. And all of us had very similar stories of abuse. It was very consistent. All of our stories were very consistent with each other. And for whatever reason, the department, I don't know if it was the Palm Beach Police Department or if it was when the FBI got involved, but there was a lack of information at some point in a disconnect that happened, because you had the Palm Beach Police Department that was trying to do an active investigation, which ended up becoming federal because in 2019 he got rearrested. But when this whole thing started in Palm Beach Police Department, they're the ones that started the smear campaign.
Okay, let that shit sink in. Imagine the police department starting a smear campaign.
Wow.
And who has the capability of reaching that far? The perpetrator. He had a lot of pull in a lot of places.
Oh,
All
yeah.
it took was a phone call.
Very powerful.
He surrounded himself with very powerful people.
Yep.
And one of them just happened to be the president right now.
Yeah.
He didn't just become powerful when he became president. He's been
Right.
powerful for decades.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I did a live about last week and
Yeah.
went line by line on all the shit that he had done since the
Oh.
70s. Since the 70s.
Oh, I bet that was good.
Let's not forget about the Central Park 5.
You started there. Yep. Good for you, Auntie Mickey.
This man is capable
Of
of
some
anything
of
and
anything.
hiding anything.
Mm-hmm.
See, those crimes, those were just racially motivated. But if it looked like a duck and quacked like a duck, it ain't a doggone pigeon.
I know that's right.
So when I got called in for questioning, you can see on the video that all of us have a very consistent story, but the police officers aren't listening. The detectives aren't listening. The detectives aren't acknowledging that we were abused. They're only acknowledging that we brought other girls to his house, not realizing that we were children when we did this. I was 16 when I started with Jeffrey, and I left when I was 18. And so that kicked off the whole court case in Florida. And then I had Acosta was the one that gave Jeffrey, or somehow worked out a deal with Jeffrey for the 13-month sentence, which allowed him to go on work release, where he was still abusing other women, where there were police officers standing outside while he was abusing girls, while he was supposed to be locked up.
Oh.
Now, the way the press put that out there back then, yes, it was a wonderful deal. It was a, what do they call it, a sweetheart deal.
Yeah, yeah.
However, what they failed to show everyone is that he wasn't going to his office to work like you do on work release.
Right.
There were officers complicit in allowing him to do these things to other women as he was on leave from the jail, from the prison.
Crazy. the main reason why he was in there in the first place.
Exactly.
Out doing the same thing. How, oh.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Now your average Joe, when they get on work release, they gotta wear that thing on their ankle.
They got the ankle thing.
They got a certain time that they can leave, and they got a certain time they gotta get back. And you better be at work, working.
Right. Yeah.
But when you rich and famous like
at a
that,
certain time, or they coming to get you.
when you rich and powerful and got all that money, you got officers that are assigned to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do, and they're standing outside the door of the room that you're brutally doing something to another young lady. Your average Joe, it's a big deal to get on work release.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest sweetheart deal imaginable. He was able to get out 6 days a damn week, 12 hours a day.
Wow.
To do whatever he wanted to do. Under the guise of going to his office to work. People don't hear about this. They only hear parts of it.
That's right, because it's my first time hearing it.
Do you remember the day when you learned about that deal? Because obviously the survivors weren't consulted. It was just, it was just announced. Now we see in the files a lot of the federal prosecutors who had to report to Acosta and the other people who led that criminal division were saying, you've really caused a lot of problems with these survivors and you should hear from them. But Acosta, did this deal with Epstein's lawyers. Do you remember when you learned about it and then how that made you feel? And this was after the horrific events of 2006, where there's this, horrible incident where your boyfriend is murdered. 2007, 2008-ish, you learn about this deal. You're trying to recover from all of this trauma, then you hear about this. So what happens then?
It does, Lisa.
It was so unbelievable. I remember my attorney calling me and telling me that he learned about this, and I did not understand. I was like, how are we not, why? First of all, 13 months? Really? That's it? And it didn't make any sense to me. I immediately said that something's not right. I said, this doesn't sound right. I said, because the punishment doesn't fit the crime.
Nope.
And then that's when I learned the reason he got the 13 months is there was a lack of information that was being granted to the grand jury. So there were 40 victims that came forward with very consistent stories about being abused and bringing girls to Jeffrey's house. And those consistent stories never made it to the grand jury. Only 4 victims, I believe, were presented to the grand jury. And I feel like if all 40 victims were presented, we would have had a much different outcome.
So then I assume, and I never want to assume, but between when the deals finally inked with Epstein, like in 2008, really through Julie K. Brown and the Miami Herald starting to write about this again, 2018, 2017, you must be thinking, well, again, I don't want to infer, but he got away with this. This is, he's free. Nothing's ever going to happen to this.
He got away with it because he had help to get away with it.
He did. He got away with it.
He got away with it because he had help. See, that's another reason why I believe that the administration is trying to keep all this under wraps because, like I said, this has been going on for decades. The cover-up has been happening for decades, not just in this administration. It's just more noticeable now because Mr. Orange Man is in those files.
Yeah.
But he's not the only one.
No.
He's not the only one. People were bought and paid for. Police officers were bought and paid for. Media was bought and paid for.
No wonder they had to they unalived him.
If he's even unalive.
You know what I'm saying? Because was he gonna tell?
Who? Epstein?
Yeah.
Oh no, he wasn't gonna tell. He was living his best life. Fucking weirdo. Pezo says Acosta said that he was told from above to lay off Epstein because Epstein was intelligence.
Wow.
Intelligence asset. This goes way, way up. Way, way up. That man had secrets. And it wasn't just his own personal secrets. He had secrets in this country.
Oh, yeah.
It was a sick ass situation.
This guy and this network of people. So talk to us about that as we then talk about the arrest of Epstein, his death, which now there's a lot more questions there too. If there were a ton before, but now it's like, come on, the Ghislaine trial, and then your attempt to recover from all the trauma that you've been through during those years. What's going on in that gap of time?
So when Jeffrey got arrested, everything kind of settled down, and I was like, thank God I can breathe. I can get through this. It was a sigh of relief. But, you know, the 13 months went by really fast. And I remember thinking to myself, like, he's just going to do it again. Like, I mean, you guys gave him a slap on the wrist. There was no real harsh punishment. The time didn't fit the crime. There's no way he's not going to do this again. And so through those years, I just drank a lot of alcohol. I tried to cope with it in different ways. And then eventually I cleaned up my act and I went back to school. I was focusing on myself. I had, you know, moved into a beautiful place. I was seemingly things were getting better and I was being able to heal and there was room for me to grow. And
what years are those, Hallie, when you went to school, just so we can situate it in time?
I would say between 2010 and like 2013, right around there. I didn't finish my degree, but it was a little bit of a break. It was nice. And then, you know, between 2013 and you know, 2014, I became a mom and I got married. And again, everything seemed very quiet and I was actually really surprised. You know, Jeffrey Epstein wasn't coming up in the news. You weren't really hearing about Ghislaine. Stories weren't really being covered anymore. It kind of felt like it was fizzled out and it was done and over with.
Oh, no.
And so it kind of gave me a little bit of hope, like, okay, this is it. Like, we're finally done with the situation. I can finally move on and build my life. And then, no. 2018, I met Lisa Bryant, who was the producer of Filthy Rich. And they were doing a documentary on Jeffrey Epstein because he had just been rearrested in New York for similar or the same crimes.
Yep.
And
wow.
So I was asked to do the documentary Filthy Rich. So I met with Lisa Bryant. And she was, after 17 years of being in fear and being forced into silence from the smear campaigns, I figured, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose and nothing to gain. So I met Lisa Bryant. We went over, we talked. I told her my story. She made, you know, the documentary that was very successful. And then, of course, COVID hit. And, you know, when COVID hit, everything got locked down. Nobody was able to get out of the house. For a while, restaurants were closed.
Yes, we remember COVID. That threw another monkey wrench.
COVID shut us down for months.
Yeah, it did.
We were I remember it. It did. It did.
It shut us down. And not only that, it shut
Yeah.
this down, this documentary. They couldn't proceed with the documentary
Yeah, COVID kicked our
at
butt.
that time. So just
I
another
was
monkey
pregnant.
wrench.
I just and couldn't move.
Wow. It's very unfortunate though something like COVID could stop the truth from really getting out there the way it could have.
I know, because I would like to see her documentary.
Yeah, and she was able to really get up the courage to finally come out and tell her truth, only to be stifled because of COVID.
So what was everybody doing? They were all watching Netflix, and Jeffrey Epstein's documentary Filthy Rich had just been released.
And so the documentary, though, was filmed. So Epstein dies August 10th of 2019, although we've now seen in the files that the prosecutors had prepared a press release the day before, which people can take whatever that is, but there's a press release written the day before. And there's also the timing of things in the files with an orange jumpsuit person, and even the person who was moved in to be his original bunkmate said that he thought he's been moved in there in order to kill Epstein because he's someone who's a quadruple murderer who kills, pedos. And so he's like, I assume they put me in there to kill the guy. But not that we can ever set that aside, but we'll save that for another show. But you've learned Epstein gets arrested. You are filming this documentary, and then you find out that Epstein dies, and that it's being called a purported suicide. And this is before he's able to be brought to justice in the New York case.
And I find it very curious as far as the timeline of his so-called death. 2 days before he was allegedly unalived, he redid his will. His last will and testament. 2 days. 2 days before. And then the press release of his unalivement comes out the day before the actual unaliving took place.
Yeah, and all that money should have went to those victims.
But you see where you see where I'm coming from with that?
Say it again, Auntie Nikki.
He had his will drawn up 2 days before he died. The day before he died, they announced his death.
Do you think he knew something?
The day before he died, the press announced his death.
Oh.
He was not dead yet, allegedly.
See, that's that craziness. That's crazy.
That's what I find very curious.
Me too.
He wasn't even, there was barely any court appearances at that point in time. I mean, there wasn't, the case had not gone to trial. Talk to us about when you learned that he died.
Oh my gosh. I woke up that morning and I got a text at 9 a.m. I think it was a Saturday. And it was my sister texted me and said, I hope you find closure knowing that, Jeffrey's dead. And I was like, what? Jeffrey's dead? I was like, no, he's in jail. And then Lisa Bryant called me and we had a conversation, and I just broke down. I just remember crying like hysterically. And then I just kind of started laughing, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, right? Like, so he's never going to face justice because allegedly he took the easy way out, which I don't believe he killed himself.
No, he didn't.
And it's very hard for me to believe that because Jeffrey is a megalomaniac. I mean, he thrived off control and power. Yeah. He thought he was God, and he didn't think he was ever going to get caught.
Exactly.
And so when somebody has that type of personality, it's hard for me to think that they would ever feel guilty or ashamed enough to want to kill themselves. I just don't believe it. I think he was murdered. But it was a very traumatic day that day because I felt every emotion. I felt sadness, happiness, joy. I felt emptiness, and then I just felt.
Who had the power? Think about it. Who had the power? Who was in office at the time? Who was in office at the time? And then ask yourself, who has the power to make something like that happen?
Right.
Someone so high profile as him. Now,
Right.
jailers do it all the time.
Right.
Jailers do it all the time. If you're in prison, all it takes is a couple dollars. You
Right.
throw the guard a couple dollars, and he'll look the other way while another inmate go in there and take care of business.
Yeah.
But this is Jeffrey Epstein. This ain't Pookie.
This ain't Pookie.
This ain't Pookie on the corner. It ripped off a few people, and now they all in prison together. Oh yeah, that fool up over there, he beat me out of a couple 8 balls. So yeah, I'm gonna get even with him. This is not Pookie.
Right. This ain't Pookie, y'all.
No. We talking about way up high. Who could put that hit out?
Okay.
And it still stands. It still stands as a he did it to himself.
Right.
That's usually what they do. They unalived themselves. No,
Yeah,
they didn't.
that is so not true.
Someone else unalived them. Even the autopsy was saying it's not conducive to a hanging.
Exactly. Even the autopsy said as much. So there you go.
But we don't know nothing.
Rage and anger for a while. And, it was unbelievable to find out that there were guards that fell asleep. And then you're hearing about the cameras that allegedly didn't work. And not only that the cameras allegedly didn't work, but that allegedly there was an incident a week or two prior to that where, again, he was trying to commit suicide and the cameras weren't working. And I'm like, that just doesn't sound plausible to me. I don't believe it. And after he passed away and, everything was back in the media again. And I remember being in the media and they were talking about Jeffrey's death and Mark Epstein had brought in his own person to do an autopsy, which I think was incredibly smart. And Ghislaine, they were looking for Ghislaine for a whole year. And Ghislaine was hiding out somewhere in the middle of nowhere, I think up north. And they finally found her and brought her in. And that's when things really ramped up in the media because now they were getting ready for trial. There were victims that were coming forward against Ghislaine Maxwell that had proof they were going to put her away. And I'm watching this in real time and I'm like, I can't even believe the scope of the timing of everything. It all was just happening in fast motion. And I just remember not being able to process everything. And I was at LA Fitness. I was at the gym and it was in the morning and they convicted her.
Oh.
She was convicted and found guilty on her own charges of sexual abuse and trafficking.
Wow.
And I was so shocked. I was like, oh my God, finally there's accountability. There's somebody that's, taking notice and what needs to be done and doing the right thing. This is wonderful. More people might start actually being held accountable. And it was all a lie though, because if you look at it now, in hindsight, what was the point? What was the point of making Anuska DeGeorgia and some of the other girls testify? Some of those girls aren't here anymore.
Else.
Some of those girls, it cost them their life to testify against her.
Wow.
Pizzo Novante says, how do we know he is dead? Maybe a body was brought in. At the time, photos of the allegedly dead Epstein circulated. People online noted differences in nose and ear cartilage shape. Exactly. We don't know him to be dead truly. I personally don't think he is. But if he is, it had to come way high up. That was a hit put out way high up. Possibly even higher than the president himself.
And to sit around and convict her and get 20 years, which is not even deserving. She deserves way more than 20 years. So to see her to get 20 years and then to have this administration and Todd Blanche, I cannot stand him. He is such a dishonest person.
Lone Wolf and Cub wants to know, why aren't Democrats talking about the fact that the Democrat National Committee refused to return $32,000 in donations from Epstein? Then he says, Democrats don't want to talk about how much money Democrats made off of Epstein PDF Island. I don't give a damn what Democrats made. I'm talking about the doggone victims here.
Hello.
I could give two shits about the Democrats, the Republicans, the independents, fuck all of them. I don't trust none of them. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
And see him get a 2-hour interview with her, and then she gets moved to a summer camp. I'm watching everything with the public in real time, and I'm like, I don't know if anybody else is believing or buying this BS, but I don't think he interviewed her. I legit think that he went there for 2 hours and said, what do you know? I want to know what you know, and let's work out a deal. She was a trafficker and a monster, and she sexually raped and abused children alongside with Jeffrey. And I don't understand how they could just move her.
Did you have any interactions with her, or did you see her? And by the way, when you were talking about the incidents earlier, sexual assault and rape, I shouldn't say incident. We should be very specific about what was that in the West Palm Beach?
Lady Letitia, that one's on your side. I can't get rid of that.
Yeah. Okay, once you unhotlight them, I'll be able to remove them. Yeah, thank you.
Home, was that in that location? And then did you see Ghislaine, and what were those interactions, or did you know about her at the time?
So I had no idea who Ghislaine was. I never met Ghislaine. And I think it was deliberate. But I never saw her at Jeffrey's house. I never spoke to her. I never was introduced to her. But I know that she was involved in some of this because I've heard the stories from the other survivors. And not only did I hear the other survivors' stories, she was convicted, which tells me that there was obviously an immense of foul play on her part. And there's no denying that she needs to go back to prison. So yes, I was flabbergasted when I found out that Ghislaine was also too joining in on the rape and sexual abuse of young girls and women and children. I was surprised. I didn't find that information out till much later in the investigation. I was trafficked to Jeffrey and abused by him solely.
So then we fast forward to this current administration, which by now their behavior is such, I don't give them the benefit of the doubt and call it an administration anymore. I call it a regime because to me, that's just how they're behaving. But they start off, and you have some hope that they're actually going to do what he said they were going to do. And, you know, there are sometimes people who are single voter issues, or one issue is paramount. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your issue, when you thought about who was, you were an independent. I've seen interviews before of you, but I'll let you say it in your own words. I'm picking the person who's running on exposing the pedos and specifically releasing the Epstein files. That's at this point that one of the main issues, especially given all you've shared with us, that was important. So you've shared. You voted for this guy as an independent because of that. I'll let you say it in your own words, of course. And then you had hope. But then when did that hope that he was going to release this start turning into this is a cover-up? Was it February when he had the influencers show up and hold up the binders? Was it before then? Walk us through that.
And once again, I say this, it's a cover-up, and it's a cover-up from all sides. I'm not going to nail just the Republicans. I'm not going to nail just everybody that has been dealing with this for decades has to some extent been covering this shit up for years and years and years. And who has suffered the most? These victims are the ones that have suffered the most. But because they're not in high places, oh, the hell with them. Nobody gives a damn. Nobody gives a damn because these women are not powerful people. That's the thing.
Exactly. They don't have the money or the power.
I could give two shits about a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, because I personally have yet to see a squeaky clean politician. That's what politics are, dirty.
Yeah.
It takes a certain kind of bullshit to be a politician. You might go into it with good intentions, but you don't come out with them.
Right.
These women didn't ask for this shit.
At all.
And this should be a bipartisan situation to get justice for these women.
Get justice for these women.
Snakes in suits. That's right. Snakes in suits. And I don't care what side of the aisle they sitting on. They dirty both sides.
Right.
So in 2016, I voted for Trump. And I voted for Trump as an independent because the other option was Hillary. And I already knew Bill Clinton was implicated in these files. I've already saw the pictures that were released to the public. So I didn't want to go that route. So I voted for Trump in 2016. And then in 2020, I did not vote at all. And then in 2024, he campaigned, his entire administration campaigned on releasing the Epstein files and being transparent. And not just me, a lot of the survivors, a few of us actually voted for him based on him campaigning to release the files. I mean, at that point, he was the only administration that mentioned Epstein or the files or even offered to have any acknowledgement on it. So I voted for him again. And you know what really did it for me? I think what really pushed me over the edge to redact all my support, I know a lot of people think it had to do with Larry Nassar and that letter with Jeffrey Epstein. And that was a big part of it. But the way he treated Marjorie Taylor Greene and the way he treated Lauren Boebert and the way he treated Nancy Mace and the women that wanted to sign on to the Transparency Act, it was a clear indication that he bullied them and basically threatened Marjorie Taylor Greene to the point where she just resigned because she didn't feel safe anymore. And between that and the Larry Nassar letter, I was done at that point with the entire administration. I was so beyond disgusted. I couldn't even articulate what I was seeing in real.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the most 10 toes down for Trump you would ever want to meet. 10 toes down. I couldn't stand that heifer. But even she had to jump ship from him.
She had to get off the boat.
She had to get off. Because he don't give a shit about what's right.
No, he doesn't.
And all he does is use the women he can use in his office and toss them to the curb when they no longer agree with him.
Right.
You can't have a say. You can't. You can't disagree with him.
You can't disagree. Because if you are, then he's going to start talking about you and making comments about you and making you out to be this horrible person.
Well, he's like a little baby. He's like oh, well, you don't like me no more, so fuck you.
Yeah.
About you. He's like a little bitch.
It reminds me of Maggot. Yeah.
He's like a little bitch. And this one actually does wear a diaper. The older he gets, the more he behaves like a little bitch. But what concerns me is that this man is twisted in the head. This man has some serious issues, some mental, some physical issues that this country needs to stand up and get him the freak out of there. It's called the 25th Amendment. When a man is not capable of holding his post, you're supposed to replace them.
That's right.
He has too much power to be batshit crazy. Honestly, he has the means to blow up another country, and has gone to certain extremes to even say so. Ooh, I'm going to go take over Greenland. I'm gonna go take over Greenland, or Iceland, or Greenland. Or which one is it? Which one is it?
See,
come look at Melania's documentary.
He don't even know.
Yes, Yolanda, dementia, frontal lobe, or whatever they call that. That brain is shrinking.
What is he? Knocking on 80?
He's look when Reagan was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, they circled around him, protected him, but did not let him make major decisions. That is too much.
Yeah, it is.
When you're not well, they'll protect him, but they will not allow them to run amok. But he's got a whole lot of incompetent assholes up under him. He surrounds himself with yes people, just like Michael Jackson did. Michael Jackson was surrounded by yes people.
Yes. Yes, people, yes, people, yes, people.
Just tell you yes all the time to your own demise. That's because they don't care. As long as they getting a little piece of the pie, they're willing to give up everything else that they stand for a little piece of power and a little piece of pie. And then what? When that person does something batshit crazy, nobody has any pie.
Nope.
It's cutting your nose off to spite your face. He's losing it, y'all.
Yeah, he is. Yep.
He's losing it. He done lost it.
Yeah, like you said, he's going to the bathroom on himself.
Unhinged. There's photographs of him all over YouTube. Walking on the doggone golf course with a big shit stain in the back of his pants. I'm not lying. Look it up.
Wow.
You see him falling asleep during press conferences. He talked shit about Joe Biden, called him Sleepy Joe.
Yes,
and
he
who's
sure
falling
did.
asleep now?
Yeah.
Who's falling asleep now? You can hardly keep them little two beady ass eyes open.
That is crazy. How you gonna go to sleep during a press conference? Wow.
If you're not well, if you're on some kind of medication, if your brain is shrinking, then guess what? That's gonna happen. If you're up all night tweeting all damn night and not getting no sleep, yeah, you're gonna fall asleep at the press conference.
You'll be sleeping.
You think that a documentary about your corny ass wife is really gonna make millions? That's dementia.
Yeah.
Oh, I want everybody to see how I live as a first lady. Come follow me and see all of my beautiful clothes. You ain't contributed shit to this country.
Nothing.
Nothing. Shit.
Time.
Right. And every time you hear him out there say it's a hoax, it's a Democratic thing, we need to move on. I'm fully, the more recent one is, I'm fully vindicated, and these files show that I'm what goes through your mind when he says that, given all you've been through?
I think he's starting to get senile, is what I honestly feel, because
Senile.
I'm like, in what world does this absolve you of any wrongdoing?
It's dementia, boo-boo.
In what world does this absolve you of anything? Because I have more questions now that the files came out than I did before the files. Because this is the point that I, as a survivor, have been trying to make. It wouldn't matter if Trump was indirectly or directly active in abusing children. It wouldn't matter to me. What matters to me is the fact that you knew you had a friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. You clearly knew with everybody else what he was doing and what he liked to do.
Yep.
That was not a secret in the, elite or political world. People that knew him knew. And I know this because I saw a video of Cindy McCain in a panel where she says, we all knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, but nobody in the legal realm wanted to go against him. So at least the minimal, they could be opening investigations into anybody and everybody that's named in these files, so we can actually have a full-on investigation to get to the bottom of who was complicit, active, and who was abusing.
Exactly.
We don't really have anywhere else to go. Like, there needs to be investigations. We're at that point right now. I mean, Thomas, Massey, and Rokana named names.
The expression that I've heard used a lot lately is the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist. And a lot of these rich and powerful people out there, gaslighting isn't the right word, they seem to have known what was going on, but they were the ones out there saying, we're the ones who are going to protect the victims and the survivors. We're the ones who are going to be going after the pedos. And so trust us because we've got your back. And now, again, also to your point, all you have to look at, too, is what they did with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Pezzo, I'm sorry, sweetheart. Pezzo Novante. I hope I said that right. Pezzo Novante says the idea to acquire Greenland came from billionaire Ronald Lauder, Estee Lauder Cosmetics fortune heir. Lauder is also head of the World Jewish Congress. Thank you for letting me know, because I was not aware of that. Thank you. Can I just call you Pezzo? Let me know if I can just call you Pezzo. That's easier for me to pronounce. Thank you for letting me know that, sweetie.
She gets promoted. She gets VIP treatment. And now the idea of her getting clemency is out there. I've said this on the show, and I said, what happens when the Department of Justice becomes a racketeering enterprise of covering up child sex trafficking? Because the DOJ, when they charge people in these RICO sex trafficking cases, everybody who's in the line, whether they are the person delivering the envelope who maybe doesn't even know what's in the envelope of cash, to the leader, they get tried as a racketeering enterprise. And when you're out there covering up the sex trafficking ring, I don't know what else to describe it, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. So what do you make of that now? Is it betrayal? What goes through your mind when you say, wait a minute, you were the people out there saying this, and now you're the ones you've revealed yourself?
Well, and you're absolutely correct. I mean, this is supposed to be, the party of protecting the children, and I'm not sure what children you're protecting, because it's definitely not us.
Wow, that's crazy, Pezzo. Pezzo says Trump just nominated Kevin Warsh to head up the Federal Reserve. Golly. Warsh is the son-in-law to guess who? Ronald Lauder. Wow. I just learned something tonight. Thank you. Okay, good. Pez is fine. That's even better. Wow, that is crazy, Pez. Well, thank you for enlightening me because I had no idea about that. I really didn't. That just makes me more infuriated, this whole situation.
And what really bothers me is when Pam Bondi can be in an oversight committee hearing and sit there and say, there's no credible evidence, or yeah, if we feel there's wrongdoing, we'll investigate. I don't know what files you're reading, darling, but there are plenty of evidence of wrongdoing in those files to start the investigations. And it's just, it's tiresome. I'm so tired of hearing this administration just completely dismiss our trauma and disregard us. But they are supposed to be the party of, family values and protecting children. And, I just feel like if that's the party that you are, it seems like Thomas Massey's the only one showing up for it.
Yes.
And I have to be honest about that. And it's unique. Everybody should be on board with protecting women and children in society. I don't understand when it became acceptable to groom society to accept child abuse.
You've connected.
That's what it feels like they're doing.
You've connected with the community of survivors and each bringing each other strength and leaning on each other during these very tough days. And talk to us about what that's been like, and as much as you can share about what that community, what that community of people who have all suffered through unimaginable PTSD and trauma kind of coming together and helping each other through all this stuff.
Well, it's been incredible. I have one of the best therapists I could ever hope for, and she's based out of Florida. Her office is right down the street from my house. And we have a whole support community for the victims of Florida, the survivors of Florida. We do like group counseling sessions for the girls in Florida. And it's wonderful being able to connect with other survivors.
Indrid Cold said, Greenland is also full of rare earth minerals. That makes complete sense now. I mean, especially with what we know about Venezuela and the oil and what he did with the proceeds of that oil. He put it in an account over in Qatar in his control. So it makes perfect sense that he would want to go after Greenland to personally profit off of that.
Locally, to be able to meet up and have those conversations and be able to support and check in on each other. During this whole diabolical situation, my father passed away December, and these women really rallied around me and were texting and calling and sending flowers and just making sure that I was okay. And it's nice to have that support and to be able to connect with other people on such a deep level and not having to have to express what you're feeling every minute when you're with them, but them to just be able to sit in silence with you and appreciate the silence because they understand where the silence comes from.
I could only imagine too, each of these moments, whether it's Bondi testifying, or I don't even know what you would even call that, or another Trump event where he disparages survivors or, just attacks the whole concept of transparency. Can you just talk through, I know people understand that it's re-traumatizing, but as someone who endured the unthinkable, and as you speak with other survivors, is there a way our audience even understands, what that actually means, on a day-to-day basis of you living with this?
It's a sad time in the world when the leader of the free world will not even acknowledge you or your presence or your trauma. And they're supposed to be working for the constituents to protect you, and they can't even show support. I mean, I would imagine if this happened in Denmark or a different, country that had stricter laws and actually respected those laws, I would hope that the leader of their country would stand in solidarity with them. And, obviously that's not what we're seeing, and that's not what we're going through here. It's definitely disrespectful and very hurtful, and it is re-traumatizing when you're getting put through the ringer again and you're getting called a hoax or a liar, and now your followers actually think that this is a hoax when indeed it's not a hoax. I mean, there's court documents, there's grand jury documents, and it's discouraging when other survivors are looking in at this situation and feeling like, well, why would I want to come public, or why would I ever want to try to get justice for my own abuse when, look at these poor girls are children, were children at the time, and their country, the leader won't even acknowledge that they exist, or even acknowledge. I mean, we couldn't even get the Pam Bondi, who, in the hearing today, wouldn't even acknowledge or look at the survivors. And it's so disrespectful and beyond hurtful. And it makes you feel just alienated. It makes you feel rejected. And it's a hard burden to carry, but I know that everything in the dark comes to light.
Now that's the truth right there. One thing is for sure, and two things are for certain. Everything comes out in the light, and things are starting to come out in the light every single day. Every single day, something new comes out in the light. And you can't run from it. You can't hide from it. That's the only thing I can hold on to. Because I can't put my faith in a party. Yes, that is so true. That is so true, Pezzo. After he lied and said he had nothing to do with that man, after meeting him the first time. He's been cutting all kind of deals. So it's really unfortunate that we have people in high places that are tossing aside the basics. Just basic humanity. It's really sad. It really is. Not much left to this video, and I'll let this play out.
No matter what or who you are. And so there's going to be a lot of things very soon that are going to be coming out in the light, I feel like. So I'm going to continue to be hopeful, and we'll see who gets the last laugh in the end, because this isn't a hoax and we're not going away.
There you go.
Your fight continues, right? I mean, the survivors throughout the country and the world, I think are, this is, if the effort here was to stop you or to discourage you, I think it's had the opposite impact. And I think before we go, I'll let you put it in your own words, of course, of what's your message after seeing Bondi, Blanche, and Trump do what they did to try to intimidate and bully and demoralize and silence you and other survivors. What's your message today before we go?
You can't bully me. I'm not somebody you bully, and I've turned into the woman that I've always needed for my younger self, and I am very protective over her, and I am not going to cave, bend, or fall back just because it makes you uncomfortable. And I'm not going to be ran off with threats. I mean, I've already lived through the most horrific things that anybody can go through, and at such a young age, and I've already survived. And I'll survive this administration too.
Amen.
And best of luck.
Haley Robson, I know it's difficult to have to retell this story over and over and over again, and I appreciate you entrusting us with being able to share this story with the rest of the world. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. Well, you guys, I'm so grateful to be able to have this live stream tonight and have a group of people that were able to enlighten me. I appreciate you guys being here. For those of you who've never been here before, I hope you liked the video. Hit the like button before you leave. If you enjoyed this live stream, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all the support and all the knowledge that you guys are bringing here, because I'm not an expert at all, but I love meeting new people, and I love having people come in that are knowledgeable and respectful and can really just communicate on a real level. You know what I'm saying? So again, thank you so much for coming in. Lady Letitia, is there anything you want to say before we end the live?
No, thank you for having me. This was so educational. It was interesting. It just lets me know where we stand in this country, who our leaders are, what's going on, and they're not doing anything about it. And, you know, I stand with the victims.
Amen to that. We stand with the victims, y'all. It's all about the victims. It's not about the parties. It's not about the monster in the office. We know he's a monster, but he's only temporary. But we're still here. We're going to make this thing work. So maybe there's another way that we can do this beside dealing with all this, you know, partisan, all that stuff. You know, we all are the same people. At the end of the day, we are the same people. And it's time we start acting like that. So again, thank you so much. I love y'all. And you guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay strong, stay vigilant. Hope to see you soon. Turn on your notifications if you've subscribed. Peace out. Bye.
Hey there, my kinfolk, thanks for stopping by. Auntie Mickey's house, where we reach for the sky. Every comment and smile, you make my heart glow. Together we're strong, together we grow. From gossip to politics, we cover it all. Sharing laughs and thoughts, having a ball. Your support means everything that I know. Feels like family here in this sweet show. So let's keep it flowing, keep the love alive. Every moment together makes me thrive. You're more than viewers, you're my kinfolk. You see, my gratitude runs deep as the sea. Thank you for being here, for sharing your time with each comment, with each rhyme. You're my kinfolk, my family, my crew. So much love to all of you. Turn up the camera, let's make it bright. Your support lifts me up, takes flight.